Welcome back to Momentum Trading Group. My name is Andrew Cameron. I'm going to be going over support and resistance and how to identify potential areas and turns in the market. So we're going to look at, in this case, just a chart of the S&P. We're going to be looking at a 5-minute chart. Now, the easiest way to identify support and resistance is just identifying areas or potential areas of where the market has turned. So now when you're looking at a much larger scale, it's always best, you don't want to get lost looking at the individual trees here. You really want to take a step back and look at the overall forest. So give yourself, a pretty good fair amount of data that you can really kind of take a step back and say, okay, where exactly is my support levels? Where exactly is my resistance levels? Now the other thing to remember is support and resistance is more of an area or a zone than it is an exact true price. So in this particular case, we've got some trading as far as some of these lows here, kind of right through here, and we've got that trading up into some of this range there. So that would be at this level, this had acted as a resistance level or the ceiling. So that old ceiling is now going to be a new floor because we've got the market up here trading up at 98 and 3/4, and this is back here at 94s. You'll also notice that we did previously have a range here that we broke out of somewhere down in this zone there. So you can see how that's been a previous level. Even coming back further, you can see how that had been a previous level coming back further. Had touched it here and then it rallied back up to new highs. So that would be an idea of some support and resistance as it relates to the chart. Now you'll also notice that there always tends to be a midpoint. Somewhere right in the middle between those two. So that's just something to be aware of when you're looking at these particular things. We're going to change this color just so you can see it a little bit better there. We're going to go ahead and we'll give it a nice big fat red line. So you can see that there's somewhat of a midpoint as it relates to that. That tends to be the case in most scenarios, so you can just get a good feel for the overall sense of direction. When you're identifying support and resistance, what this helps us do is this helps to determine risk to reward. If we were buyers, we'd want to be buying down here, basically below this midpoint zone, so even back in here or right at this point, anticipating. You don't want to be buying up in here just to anticipate a breakout. You want to be more of a pullback style, which is in here, creates a lower risk trade. You'll see a lot of times where the market will come back up to some of these natural highs, and then you saw this big failure. This would be a big loss here, big 10-point loser if you would have anticipated maybe breaking some of these shorter term. Normally when we're identifying support and resistance, you want to do it on multiple time frames just to give you an idea of some different key levels. And what you'll notice is certain levels will line up. That gives you something that we'll discuss later. We call that confluence. Now, but again, you want to be a buyer down here. If we were a buyer at 82 or 83 and we had a signal down here, we anticipated it to run up here, nice 10-point winner, we would have been okay kind of riding out some of this noise because our price, our entry would have been so low. And that's really what we're looking for down in here is where's this market bottoming out? What's my risk to reward? Here, if you would have bought, and let's say you bought, 83s, you're really risking a few points. The low there was 80, basically 81. So you're only risking a few points for this potential upside. This style trade is very common that it will stick its head below this low just to kind of wash everybody out before they take the market to the upside. So just be careful or be leery of that. So a lot of guys here won't have the courage to take this trade back in if they got stopped out. But that's an idea of support and resistance, is really just trying to figure out zones. If you zoom out too, majority of the time when you're doing support and resistance and you're identifying that on charts, you're going to be doing it on a 30-minute time frame or one larger time frame, or what we refer to in other videos as the prevailing trend, is where you're really going to be drawing a lot of your zones. So you can see back in here, we've got a zone down here. Nice zone down there. When that had been resistance, we had some support through here. When this was support, we had some resistance up in here. When that broke through it there, you can see how that level, this key level right through here, ended up acting as support later. and then this was able to push into some of our higher zones. And then you can see when we broke out this level here, we've got a new floor. You see how that just kind of works its way up like a ladder, rungs on a ladder? Very common with support and resistance is how it's looking. Now what you're able to notice is as these are moving higher, it's developing an uptrend here. So you like to buy these pullbacks and these prevailing uptrends like that. But this just really gives you an idea. So we always recommend doing that on our prevailing trends, is drawing our boxes and identifying those key areas or zones for the trades. We'd love this at 82. We'd love to see this come back into the 94 range, give us a nice little pullback, retest some of these old levels of resistance as new support, and then we'd see this thing probably run higher into the close. So this is just a real easy way to kind of build trades looking into it coming into later in the day. But support and resistance, again, supports the floor, resistance is the ceiling. Just think of it like in your house. Your floor is your support level, standing on the floor. If you tried to jump through the ceiling, you're going to hit the ceiling and hit your head and come crashing back down. That's going to be your resistance point. So that's very common in that whole mindset mentality. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll have more for you.